Wrongfully detained. That is what the State Department is now calling basketball star Brittany Griner, who has been locked up in a Russian jail since February. And this is happening as families of those who have been detained in Russia again called on the White House to get their loved ones back. At a rally today, this was happening outside the White House. Trevor Reed was just released in that prisoner swap, and it is still leaving former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, who is held since 2018, and Brittany Griner over there, and their families tonight questioning how close are we. Paul Whelan's family was today at the White House, and tonight we're joined by his brother, David. David, thank you so much. I can't even begin to imagine what your family's been going through all these years with Paul over there and detained. Do you feel that his release is more within reach once Trevor came back, or does it feel as though it's further away?
Probably not either. I think if you think about each of these cases as a train trying to get to a station, some of those trains make it, but they're all running on parallel tracks. And Paul's case hasn't gotten to the point where it's gotten any further. I think Trevor's case has given us some hope that there is actually diplomatic relationship there that allows for discussions for possible releases, but I don't think Paul's any closer than he was before.
Were there discussions when Trevor was released that Paul would be part of that swap at all?
No, I don't think that there were discussions, certainly not with our family. So if there were discussions, it was within the White House or within the administration. I think just from a perspective of he has been there the longest, and Mr. Yaroshenko, the concession that the U.S. government gave, was someone who had been mentioned early in Paul's case as a possible concession. So it was one of those things where we thought, well, you know, if there's going to be a release from Russia, Paul would probably be part of it.
For people who haven't, David, been following your brother's case closely, thousands of Americans go to Russia every year for various reasons. Why is it that you all feel he was targeted and grabbed by the Russians and has been held so long, as opposed to any one of the thousands of Americans who go on business and then get on a plane and come back home? No idea. Really, I think that's the thing that we struggle with, and probably all of the families. There are more than 40 American families who have loved ones who are being held around the world. They go to the other country. You don't know why they've been targeted by that country. In Paul's case, he might have made it more easy. He knew people in Russia. He had friends there. He didn't speak the language, but he had traveled there before. And so I think that may have created a target for him that might not be the same for someone who goes on like a package tour on a bus or on a cruise, who has very few contacts with the country. But it's really hard to know and why they would charge him with spying other than to create an opportunity for them to get a concession from the U.S. government.
David, we all saw the video of Trevor coming home, and he looked frail. His treatment over there could have cost him his life. How often do you talk to Paul, and what has his treatment been in custody? How's his health?
His health now is pretty good from a physical standpoint. It's varied over the time. They wouldn't provide him with medical treatment similar to what they did with Trevor for most of the first year and a half that he was there. And then he ended up having to have emergency surgery because he had a medical condition that got out of hand. So, it's iffy. And I think in addition to that, you've got his mental health. And so he has been taking care of himself using techniques that he learned in the Marines to, survive as a prisoner of war, that sort of thing. But you can imagine last Wednesday when he heard that he wasn't going home, that Trevor had, and that Yaroshenko had been traded, that he was probably pretty devastated. We are able to hear from him on a daily basis almost. He speaks to our parents, and I think he spoke to them last Friday, the last time. So on a pretty regular basis, we do hear in 15-minute increments updates on what life is like inside the labor colony.
I know that you all, you want to bend the ear of the White House. You want them to take this case on. Are you hopeful outside in D.C. today, trying to get your brother home, that you're closer, and what are you hearing from President Biden?
I think we're always hopeful that something will happen. The good news really was Brittany Griner's case, and that the State Department, the White House, has designated her as being wrongfully detained. It took just a few months for that to happen. It took years for that to happen in Paul's case. So it suggests that the State Department, the Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs, that they're moving faster now. And I think that that's really what's important. There's no question that there are tools available if the U.S. government wants to use them. There are people that the Russian government has asked for exchanges. There are other things that the U.S. government might be able to do. And it's a matter of then moving forward quickly and making those decisions and getting these people home.
David, I can tell you as somebody who spent a lot of time overseas and often would think about and talk to people who had been in the situation that your brother's in, and we know this from talking to people who've gotten out, that what keeps them going and what keeps them surviving in the horrible conditions they're in is the knowledge that you and your parents are fighting every day for them. So that is an enormous testimony of your love to Paul and desire to get him home. We hope to talk to you in better times, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, you.
David. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.